Okay.
Hello there. I'm very pleased to have Disgruntled Danny on my channel today. Now, I don't know if you have visited his wonderful YouTube channel, but I've been a fan for about 3 years now. So, Danny, it's lovely to finally speak to you after watching you and showing you to all my friends. So,
it's great to meet you, Andy.
Yeah, it's lovely. And now you can see Danny is sporting a wonderful T-shirt there. He's got perhaps the greatest band of all time on his T-shirt. And Danny not only is a fantastic YouTuber, he's also a guitarist. He's recently just left a band he was been playing in for a while. But, I've been watching him afar on Facebook, and bizarrely, there's a lot of things you've been doing that are similar to me. And so I wanted to have a chat to you about it, but also just to tell you how much I love your channel. Now, the link's down below to the channel, but before you pop across, it's very funny, but it's a bit, your stuff's a bit, how would you describe your channel, Danny?
Adult. It's an angry middle-aged man shouting at his phone. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'd like to call it current affairs or political, but no, it's just me venting, which some people find amusing.
I find it very amusing. Yeah. And your target is often the sort of the woke areas of life.
Where it's got ridiculous is where I mock. If anyone records themselves and puts it usually on TikTok, saying the pronouns are whatever, or today on the Welsh dresser or 12th century cathedral, I will repeat to you because that is ridiculous. And everyone can live their life how they want to, but when they start demanding everyone else goes along with it, that's when it becomes problematic. You can't be worked up already.
So yeah, it's a fantastic channel. My politics are very much like, I believe in free expression. I don't care what anyone does or says. I think anyone should be able to say anything they want, and I welcome them doing it. Dress how they want. They can say whatever pronouns they want. They can do whatever they want. But as soon as they start telling me what to do, I'm a little bit like, ooh, because it's inhibiting my freedom of expression. And you always make this clear at the beginning of every video. But beyond that, what you do is you poke fun at something that doesn't like having the fun poked at it, and that's why it's so funny. And honestly, people, go and check him out. If you're a bit sensitive or a bit on the old lefty side, you might find yourself getting very offended. So I warn you. But as far as I'm concerned, anything is right for humor, isn't it? Anything.
Yeah. Either everything is okay to mock or nothing is okay. And at the minute, I think the far left is pushing for nothing to be okay, except what they perceive to be the far right, which is anyone to the right of them by a millimetre.
And I assume you've been accused a million times of being far right, haven't you?
It is so. Godwin's law gets invoked in comments. I've hardly said anything, but straight away, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist. It's like, I really aren't.
Yeah, so politically, politically, are you on the left or the right? Do you mind paying your tax and having it redistributed to the poor? Because I don't.
No. 20 years ago, I would have said I'm centre left. 10 years ago, I'd have said I'm a centrist. Now I say I'm centre right. But my politics haven't changed. The left has gone so far to the left now that it's become, in my opinion, ridiculous. And like I said, they really don't like being mocked.
I filmed a video the other day where it says I'm not talking about politics anymore. So you lot are watching, you go, and I'm not talking about it. It's Danny talking about politics, but that's not why I've got him here. What sort of music are you into? He asks knowingly. Say some of the bands you like and how you got into music, how long you've been playing. Let's talk music for a bit.
Okay, let's talk music. I was brought up by my mother likes Motown, Diana Ross, pop music, disco. My dad likes the Beatles, Elvis, Sabbath, Zeppelin. My uncle's a big Motorhead fan. My other uncle was a Teddy boy, so I had a nice eclectic mix. I'm mostly listening to rock and metal music. Again, Sabbath, Zeppelin, Quo, more modern bands, Elaine, big bands like Metallica, Slipknot, also a lot of local bands. But then I also listen to classical and stuff like Dua Lipa and Sabrina Carpenter. So
that's quite wide, yeah. And so you play guitar. How long have you been playing guitar?
Started when I was 12, quit when I was 20. Then at 37, had a bit of a crisis and started again. So I've been back on it for 10 years now and thoroughly enjoy it.
And what sort of guitarists specifically would be your influences? See, my lot love all this, you see, as you know. So it's interesting to find a YouTuber and find out that they love all this stuff. So yeah.
Although he's a one-trick pony, Slash, because no one does that trick as well as he does. Francis Rossi from Status Quo, who my wife is brilliant. I'm meeting him later this year for the first time ever. Eddie Van Halen's different league. Now, my favourite guitar player at the moment is Nita Strauss from the Alice Cooper band. I think she's wonderful. Yeah.
Quo are vastly underrated, aren't they? And they play into it, don't they, as well?
Quo, well, for me, they haven't been the same since they lost Rick, but they've been doing that shuffle that everyone knows, but they have such a wide variety if you listen to their back catalog. Dirty Water, I think, is one of the most underrated songs of all time. It's fantastic.
And they don't stick. They don't stick to 3 chords. They're not 3-chord tricks. They do all sorts of different things. I feel that I absolutely love them, but I tell you what I hate is their film. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen 10 minutes of it and had to turn it off.
Yeah, Boo Le Quo. I just done the 10 worst music films. That came out #1. That did.
Yeah.
#2 was Hysteria, the story of Def Leppard, which, although terrible, I absolutely love, and it's recommended to any rock fan. It's pure joy from beginning to end.
It is, because I love it at the start where there's the 100-foot pine trees, the 2-lane blacktop, and the sign says Sheffield, when clearly it's North America.
And it starts that it means to go on. My ultimate favourite bit is when Rick Allen's lost his arm and he's walking around and that woman walks up to him and he asks for his mom and then tells her he's a famous drummer. That sums every musician up I've ever known.
Yeah, no, that film is wonderful for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, it's wonderful. Rock's wrong for all. I mean, I think Black Sabbath is the greatest band of all time. I really do. People go on the Beatles, but the Beatles never invented a genre and nailed it. And then their run of albums up until Technical Ecstasy is almost like perfection, and they refine it. But it's so idiotic at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it.
Any of us who play metal music were all just copying something that Sabbath did in 1970. All of us.
Absolutely, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your band that you've recently stopped being in.
I won't be naming the band.
You don't name the band, but just tell me what's happened there, because I've been watching you from afar and you've been doing all sorts with this band and doing gigs. And I played a venue up by you in a police tribute band, and then you played there a couple of weeks later. And I thought,
what venue's that?
I can't remember the title of it. It was like you had to come up some stairs to get into the stage.
11.
Yeah.
11. That Nightmare Fire Escape. Yeah.
That's the one, yeah.
You on drums?
Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm totally spoiled. Even though I'm no longer the drummer I was, if I got a gig, I still take my tech with me.
Yeah. That venue is why I went from an amplifier to a processor, because I'm not dragging a port on, but the band, we've been going for 6 years. Made it all the way through COVID. There's been some tensions, and then probably about a month, 5 weeks ago, there was an absolute blow up in the private Facebook group. It blindsided me completely. All sorts of allegations. You're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe, and I'm not. But there was an issue that because I've got a YouTube channel, some people had phoned venues beforehand to say, this guy, Disgruntled Danny, he's far right, he's this, he's that. So I then get to venues and the venue owners would say, oh, we've watched your channel, it's absolutely fine. But there's this underlying hatred, and then somehow politics got mixed into it as well, where the person I was arguing, well, I wasn't arguing, I was trying to defend myself. Somebody just blurted out, and I voted Labour. I thought, what's that got to do with anything to do with a heavy metal band? But because I'm not far left, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, most of the music community are so far left now and so hypocritical, because in my view, again, many people on the far left are fueled entirely by hatred of anyone different to them. So yeah, apparently me not voting Labour was a good enough reason for wanting to leave the band. It is bizarre.
That is incredible. And I had a very similar thing happen to me just before Christmas, which is why I wanted to chat to it so much, because I thought there's very few people that have a YouTube channel, have said their opinion, I don't think I'm politically particularly even right wing. I would say I'm still pretty much centre left, but I'd rather have the old fashioned left, that, like where they're bothered about the poor people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because well, the thing that winds me up, and because I've worked in the arts, is there's so much money there, and it's rather than they've got community art money, taxpayers' money, and rather than it going to help poor people do music or art, it goes to these identity groups. Got nothing against the identity groups, but the people who are doing it are ultra middle class. They're well off, and they're taking money to pay to do something that then other people that will come on are all, and the money's not actually going anywhere. And that's something that's really wound me up. And then, of course, because, like you say, I'm a musician, and I was a teacher in a college. All my friends are very on the left, so every time I put Facebook on, I have to look at them sort of virtue signaling, it seems to me, and it winds me up, you see. And every now and then I snap and I put something up on Facebook, and I know I shouldn't. And just before Christmas, I did 2 posts. One of them was, I said, I don't think that all the people rioting are far right. They might be a bit annoyed about the grooming gangs, to which a lot of people back then came to me and said, this grooming gang thing, it's a far right conspiracy.
Yeah.
You're making this, you've now gone off. And I was going, no, it's honestly thousands of kids. No, you're making this up. And of course, I was proved to be right. But because of that, and another post where I said that they were sentencing people too long for being involved in the riots, and then when that thing happened to Peter Lynch, and I'm genuinely upset. And if somebody is protesting outside of somewhere and they get arrested and they get sent to prison, and then they end up, we don't know, but perhaps he killed himself in prison, I just find that upsetting. I don't go much further than that. I just find it upsetting. And these people are supposed to have some compassion for people, but they have compassion for everybody except anybody who doesn't agree with them. It's their reaction. I don't mind their opinions at all. And so I won't mention who it is, but a certain band member said, I can't really be in any bands with you. And I then threw my toys out the pram and said, well, I'm not going to do any more bands. So I sort of scrapped doing bands, but just before Christmas. And it's been quite a traumatic thing, because what people don't realise is that when someone's accusing you of being something you're not, it's quite upsetting, isn't it?
I mean, I'm bald. I'm not a skinhead through choice. It doesn't mean I'm a far-right neo-Nazi. I'm just a normal bloke. But again, the assumptions that go with it and the accusations. And also, I'll say this here, the two-tier justice thing, which is now so blatant, it's no wonder so many people are annoyed. Where a guy got 9 years for setting fire to a bin.
9 years in prison.
Yeah.
And also, they don't just go to prison for 9 years. They go to prison for 9 years being tarred that they're far right. And so once they get in there, there's going to be half the prison trying to, I mean, it's just a miserable existence. You're just going to be dodging, attempts on your life, I imagine. And I don't want to get too far into this, but because I'm very interested in your experience as a YouTuber. So your first YouTube was really steaming, wasn't it? And you got up to a certain amount of subscribers, and then you've had to jump to another YouTube. And of course, I've got 52,000 subscribers now. So if that happened to me, I don't do anything. This is my job now. I haven't got a job, and you'll get there. You won't have a job.
That's a nice way of saying you'll be unemployed. No, the first channel, it was starting to, I mean, I've done this for years, and a video of mine got 100 views. I was chuffed. Then suddenly one hit the algorithm and it's viral. But then I started getting hit the community orders of people complaining. And my opinion is, if I'm watching someone on YouTube on my phone and I don't like them, I move my thumb and they disappear. But there are people who have to be vindictive and say, he said this, he said that. I've got a warning on my channel saying it's adult content. you will be offended by this if you're of a certain mindset. So then why watch it? Why? It's worse than doom scrolling. It's hate viewing with nothing better to do. There are many people I don't agree with, but I would rather listen to their opinion to understand where they're coming from rather than jump into their comments and call them a fascist. That's it.
And I have to say, those of you who haven't seen Danny's channel, he is unbelievably funny. It's like I don't know how you do it, but I actually laugh out loud because it's your reaction to things, and it's not like it's not like it's like you're bemused by life, which I think is when you get to a certain age. I'm I think 10 years older than you. This is what happens when you get to a certain age, and part of it, you're almost like lampooning yourself, aren't you? You know, the kids are all up doing this mad stuff, pretending to be this, pretending to be that, and this is going on, you know, and this, and we sit there, sort of middle-aged rockers, going, what, and I can't see if you had been a serious political channel, that would be a different thing. But yours is so obviously humorous.
Yes. I'm just being a slightly exaggerated version of myself. That's it.
It's very strange because I think you're a bit like me, is that you're a creative person. So that's why you've gone out doing these videos. And you like to make music. Do you feel that you get the same feeling making the videos as doing the music? Do you feel like it scratches a creative itch?
Yes. In a different way, but yes, very much. I won't go into what I do for a living, but I enjoy my job and it isn't very interesting. So I have a lot of time to think, and that's what comes out when I get home from work. I'll either sit down and start writing a song, or I'll make a video. And it is an outpour for being at work all day when I'd rather be having fun.
And I really want to try and get this message across to my viewers, especially there's a lot of creative people watch my channel, is that YouTube is a great creative outlet. And if you just start doing what you want to do, even if you you don't get the views, it doesn't matter. It's very therapeutic to do this. And so I want to throw that into the mix, that I can see it's therapeutic. You've done it for the love. It's caught on. People love it. Now, the other day I did this video. I said, I'm not gonna talk about politics anymore. And halfway through the video, my cat jumped on my lap, and so I finished off the video with the cat sat on my lap. So I put up a thumbnail saying, I'm not going to talk about politics anymore, just music and pussycats. YouTube pulled it. Yeah. Because I used the word pussycats.
We all know where that could be abbreviated to. That isn't what you said.
And so the thing is, these algorithms, the things that scanning, and they're clumsy. They make out they're, you know, and so if somebody complains, there's nobody at the other end going, right, let's have a check. It's like this, complaint comes in. What is it? Oh, it's got that title, bang. Yeah. And this is not right because it is a creative form and it's free expression, and people need to say what they want to say, you know. And I think if it's truly wretched, people won't like it, will they? You know. But I suppose these people think you're going to stoke far right hate, and before you know it, everyone's going to be bloody burning bins. Yeah.
I had one pulled on my original channel, and I had a series called Meet Local Girls. Don't know if you remember that, where I mock all the catfishing and reply to them and try and engage. I had one pulled because I was chatting to someone online who thought, it's a catfisher, and then somebody thought, oh my God, this may be a lady of the night touting for business. So I'd censored the photo and put it up in the video, but it got put up as the thumbnail without me wanting to do it, and I got the video pulled, and then another community all against me. But I wasn't selling sex. If a person had watched the video, they know that. But because it's an AI bot, it doesn't understand.
It's unbelievable. And one of the things I find very funny about you is you're a full-on metaler, but you're an English gentleman. So you go for a walk in the forest, which all good English gentlemen do. And when you're describing these things, I've nicked this from you. You use you will say a lady of the night, or you go, when you're talking about Americans, you say across the pond, and I love all that. I do love what you do, and I'm so happy to be able to make contact and say all this.
Thank you very much.
You're not in a band anymore. You've been demoted to a lower YouTube where you start like bloody the big little spider falling down. You go climb up and get that one going. But you recently announced that your musical skills will now be applied to making comedy music. What you got planned, Danny? What you got planned? Sounds very interesting.
At some point, I do want to get back into metal, and I've got a few friends who we're chatting with. But for the rest of this year, I'm going to write songs which I couldn't get played on the radio, but I would play in comedy clubs along the line of what I'm doing now. Basically, I want to take music and mock things the way I do on YouTube, knowing damn well it's going to trigger people. But the people who get triggered, I want to be triggered because they spend all day, every day crying about nothing. So the first complete song I've written is called Luckily I Was Ugly. And that's about being a child growing up in the 1980s when it transpires every TV presenter was a paedophile. Luckily, I wasn't a good-looking kid, so Jimmy Savile never interfered with me.
I put a ZZ Top album on this morning. I got in the car and I put Rio Grande Mud, which is a ridiculously great rock album. If you haven't heard it, everyone goes on about Trey Hombres, but it's really cool. And so hang on, I've just got me. Oh God, my daughter's calling me up now. Sorry about this, and I can't tell which one's you and which one's her. Bloody hell, they're spoiling me interview. Stop calling me. Hang on, Danny.
All right.
We're back, aren't we? Bloody hell. You've seen my channel, you know how it rolls, don't you? Yes, yours is nicely edited. You've got structure to yours. Mine aren't. Bloody hell. We're all in the same house. My daughter's literally in the room next door, but if she wants to talk to me now, she calls me up on bloody WhatsApp. This is the world we're living in. I don't understand it.
No.
What were we even talking about? Comedy and music. It's an art form. So, first of all, once you're up and going, you are welcome to come down to my Big Posh studio, and we'll do you a video there. And I would love to do that. And you could have it for your channel. I don't have to open for mine. I'll just do it for you because I do love your channel, and we'll film it all. Oh my God! Now, someone's blown a fuse in the house.
Okay.
That's what's just happened now. There's no electricity in the house. You can't see me, can you?
Well,
Bloody, what are my kids up to? I've been looking forward to this all day to have a chat to you. What am I supposed to do now?
We can pause for a minute if you want.
I'm going to pause the video and see what the hell's going on because I've got the oldest fuse box in the world. If it has gone, I've got to go search around for some bloody copper wire or something to fix it. I think I can pause this. Hang on. Pause it. Sorry about that, everybody. Got the light back on. It wasn't the fuse box. It was something much more simpler and stupider. So, yes, come down to mine when you get your comedy channel, your comedy set ready. Yeah. Are you going to be putting some of these songs up on the main channel?
Yes, they'll be going up there. I haven't sang and played at the same time since I was a teenager, so I've got to learn how to do that again. But yeah, they'll be going up on the channel. It won't be Disgruntled Danny. It'll be on that channel, but it'll be the silent majority because that's what I'm calling myself. Because I think I'm just talking for most people. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking.
This is the thing now I'm realising is that I'm very aware, having an audience for my channel of a certain age, that most of them, I don't think it's necessarily they agree, because I never do anything seriously. A lot of it, I've got my tongue in my cheek a lot of it, but I can't get my words out now. Then I'm gone. I've lost it. Then I thought I'd blown someone. Last year, my daughter, she tried to change the bulb, and it's a bayonet fitted. She went and got one of those screw things in and tried to screw it in. She screwed it and blew the whole thing up. I had to go off and find some special fuse wire to go into my bloody Edwardian fuse box that I've got downstairs. So I thought I was in. I've just put myself off. I'm really sorry about this. You're going to have to help me here. I'm a bit lost.
Yeah, I'm a bit lost as well. I didn't know what to expect today. I've seen your channel many a time, but I didn't know what we were going to chat about. Oh, you did ask me over Messenger about the Anthrax spin-off, Stormtroops of Death.
Speak English or Die?
Yeah, Speak English or Die.
Did you check it out?
I know the song is. I've not heard it for many years, but I know there are certain people who think that's far right. They don't even see it's a parody.
I know. I. That's how much the world has changed.
Yeah.
That a band that made an amazing track with Public Enemy, really, there would be no Rage Against the Machine, no Korn, none of that if Anthrax hadn't have done that. I know Aerosmith had done the Run DMC one beforehand, but that was a bit of sort of a comedy thing. But the Anthrax one was incredible, and I think Bring the Noise by Anthrax is better than the Public Enemy. It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
So, and the reason is because Anthrax grew up in the same area as those guys. They're friends, and they go make an album called Speaking English or Die. And I find this that you can't having the channel I've got. I cover a lot of jazz, and I have an issue with the idea of black music. As a I don't mind. I call music black music. I got no problem with people using it as like that. But when you start to look at the history and try and work out what's going on, well, for a start, metal, most of that originates with black musicians. So they're calling that white, and this whole, the whole host of influences there. But when you start to get into it, most music is a mixture of things, and you realize that the historians are looking at it through a lens of identity politics. Mm-hmm. And actually, when I start to study it, I see that there's actually really racist things that have happened in history, but they're being actually covered up because it doesn't quite line up with the identity politics version. I'm going to give you a really good example of this, this is how I got into it on the channel. I was looking at the slave trade and how Africans were brought across to America. So our boats, British boats, go down. They stop, on the west coast of Africa. They go in. They meet their mates who they're buying the slaves off. So they get all the slaves by, and they've gone off and grabbed them all. Now the ones they're keeping a whole bunch back for human sacrifice, or they're going to be the front line of their army. But the ones they don't want, and the British went to Africa because they could source the specific skills they needed. So these slaves are highly skilled: horses, growing cotton, growing rice. They were skilled. They buy some, stick them in the bottom of the boat, and then they'd ride down to the next port, do the same thing. The ones that got stuck in the bottom of the boat at the beginning were in there for a year, sometimes 2 years before they took off. And when I read this, firstly, I thought, my God, these were highly skilled people that they were grabbing. And some of them were stuck on that boat, not for just the passage, but for this great long time. And I thought, why isn't this being said? We know why. Because they don't like the idea that they were bought off other black people and kidnapped them. They want to make it out like it's, a snatch and grab, isn't it?
The popular myth, I think, is a load of white guys running around with large butterfly nets, isn't it, across the savannah catching Africans, whereas, no, they were bought from other Africans. Yeah. And it was the Africans who kept the trade going, the Dahomey tribe, who were portrayed in a film called The Woman King as fighting off the Europeans. They kept the trade going for years. It wasn't until the British turned up and shelled them that they stopped it. We went very serious there.
Yeah, and so that I'm just trying to give you an idea about how when I was studying the history of jazz, there was things like that I realised that there's a lens of identity politics that's covering it, and also what I found very interesting is in America that the what was classified as black changes, and also the status of black people, because they're slaves, then they're freed, and actually they were given a lot of freedoms. There was a big push governmentally to give black people equal votes. So they're fighting against the Democrats. There's another one that nobody says. They're fighting against the Democrats, and then you get the Homer Plessy case, which is a very much like the bus case in the 1950s. Homer Plessy was a black guy, got in a white carriage. He got arrested. He went to court. He did it deliberately, and they hoped to win that, and they didn't win it. And because they didn't win it, the Democrats were able then to put in the segregation, Jim Crow laws that are put in. But what I found out that also surprised me is that Homer Plessy was an eighth black.
Wow.
I'm a quarter Indian. My mum's half Indian.
Yeah.
And so I'm twice as mixed raced as Homer Plessy was.
Yeah.
And part of me goes, how could people have a mindset that just having that 8th bit of genes that you would think, oh, well, that means you can't sit on a carriage. How could genes, how could any of this count? But we don't hear that story. No. And so you realize that when people say, oh, this music was created by this, race or whatever, skin color, we're not talking about the same.
No.
And so I pursued that, and there was a number of people in America that really went for me, and I had a lot of pushback there, and I dug my heels in a little bit, and I mean that's what's happened to me. I felt I fought my way through it, and this is what I want to ask you. When I was doing all this, about halfway in, and I would go over to this other person's YouTube, and I'd go down all the comments, and I'd try and answer ones I could, and they're going, "He's a white devil. He's a white devil. He's far-right racist. Why is even a British white person speaking about our country and all this stuff?" You read all this, hundreds of comments, and I didn't realize after about 2 weeks of it, I went massively depressed.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what, and this is the double-edged sword of YouTubing. Have you felt that? I mean, your stuff's very funny, but have you felt it does wear you down a little bit?
Oh, I've had death threats before now.
Have you?
Yeah, from Americans, which makes me laugh because the type of Americans giving me death threats couldn't find Britain on a map anyway. But yes, sometimes it can be. I don't know about you, I find it, there could be 100 comments, and if one of them really jars at you, that'll be the one I remember for the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Yeah. There's and I because I think I hope I'm a reasonable person, so I tried to argue my case as nicely as I could. I've got to be now. I just take the mickey out of them, and I just put I try. I mean, I answer the comments a lot because it gets the algorithm going and all that bit. So recently, you've just added a monetization, haven't you?
Yes.
And has that gone well?
It could go better, but I am very happy with where it went from. The one video I posted last Sunday, just called "Thank You," because
I watched it.
I want to thank the people who've supported my channel for so long, because I hadn't mentioned that I'd left the band. I've been quite down. The last year has been quite hard, and yet I've been really overwhelmed. But I'm not going to say how much because the taxman might be watching. That being said, I've had some very, very generous donations, and the app's just called Buy Me a Coffee. Either I know some very generous people, or coffee is bloody expensive in America.
It's a wonderful thing. They love you, Daddy. I love you. Brilliant channel.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I really wanted to get in touch just to explore this thing of us having, how us musicians are doing what we do, and I really hope you have a success in the future, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some music on your channel. And I'm going to say to all my lot watching, if you have a sense of humor, go over and check Danny's out. Don't blame me if you get offended. I'll be running away, because that's the other thing, isn't it? People drop you like a stone, don't you? Once you're tarred.
Oh God, yeah.
I think we're done, mate. I really just wanted to put something out there. I hope so. Go, the link's down below to his thing. Go and bloody subscribe. Say you've come from here. This is what it's all about. It's all about spreading the love. Danny's a thoroughly nice man, as you can see. He's got a Black Sabbath t-shirt on. He's got to be a good guy. So
thanks for having me, Andy. It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. I think we'll finish up there.
Okay.
Right, we're going to work out to stop it now. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.